All right, so the blame game is running rampant. I've read 30, 40, 50 different supposed explanations for why Trump won, why MAGA won, why Republicans won, and why Democrats and the left lost. At this point, it is both true that the problem must be identified and true that the blame game as it's being played is pointless. There was a clear choice presented. It wasn't ambiguous. I know that there were undecided voters to some degree, but for the vast majority of Americans, this was not ambiguous. They chose Trump, okay? Their ideas won, even if their ideas are not based in fact, even if their ideas are based in lies. That's all true. They won, and if we don't recognize that, we are unable to take steps to fix it. I want to focus in on one aspect of this, and it is alternatives to corporate media. Ezra Klein did a commentary about how not doing the Rogan show, alienating Rogan, etc., was a misstep for Democrats. The increased criticism of Rogan, arguably the biggest podcaster in the world, Kamala Harris ultimately not doing the show, even though it was said to be a scheduling error. Was it not? Now, Ezra Klein points to this and says the Republican Party had a strong online media strategy. Trump did all of these appearances on podcasts. It made him more relatable. It humanized him. Lex Friedman was saying, let's bring Harris on. Trump did it. Harris didn't. Rogan had Trump on. Harris didn't. Okay. So I don't want to pretend that Rogan is the reason Harris lost. When you see, as of this moment, it's 12 million Democrats. As votes are counted, it'll probably end up being 6 million in the end. 6 million Democrats opted not to vote. It's not just because of Rogan. But I think that what Ezra Klein is bringing up, and our friend Brian Tyler Cohen has brought this up recently, etc., is that it is abundantly clear now the strategy favored by Democrats of we rely on corporate media. I'll sit down for my 60 minutes interview and I'll sit down on MSNBC and I'll be interviewed by Jake Tapper and I'll stand up on a stage with Anderson Cooper and ask pre-selected questions. That is dead as a media strategy. Right now, Republicans get it, and Democrats, if they get it, they are failing. I'll give you some personal examples. We have to beg Democrats to do this show, and most of them don't. Bernie, we've reached out dozens of times. We don't even get a response. AOC, we've reached out dozens of times. Twice we got a no, 10 times or 20 times. We don't even hear back. Okay, we've tried Obama. I get it. He's a former president. Who the hell am I? But the point is, Trump did a ton of shows. J.D. Vance did a ton of shows. They're doing Lex Friedman. They're doing Rogan. They're doing Theo Vaughn. They're doing Dave Ramsey, Patrick Bet-David, Dr. Phil. It's hard for me to say this without sounding like, how dare they turn me down? That's not the point I want to make. I get turning me down. But the bigger point here is it's not a do you know who I am? It's that in total, if you look at the top 5 or 10 left-wing YouTube shows, this is one of them, right? If you look at the top 5 or 10 YouTube shows, we are talking about tens of millions of subscribers, hundreds of millions, if not over 1 billion views a month. And Democrats just kind of don't do it. Okay, now Brian Tyler Cohen gets some of them. There's no doubt. He did get a Biden, and he's interviewed Kamala Harris. But what Brian pointed out on Twitter, he put out a tweet on Twitter, or now that it's called X, we could say Brian excreted the following on Twitter. He said that, quote, we can't compete by sticking our candidates on an episode one time in October of an election year. Democrats need to embrace year-round progressive media, either directly political or political adjacent, if we want to compete. But you cannot only remember independent media outlets exist 2 weeks before an election, not in a media environment where the vast majority of Americans and practically all persuadable Americans are consuming content on alternative outlets. He's absolutely right. If this doesn't get fixed within the year, the midterms will probably be a disaster. And again, this is not, you'd better do my show. I'm not a main character here in this whole thing. It's representative of, right now, look at the shows that the right confidently appears on and reaches tens of millions of people in a format that is useful to them. Rogan, Theo Vaughn, the Nelk Boys, Dr. Phil, PBD, the Daily Wire stuff. It's an endless list, and they do it regularly. Even when we get a Democratic elected official, they try to restrict the handlers go out of their way to restrict. You're going to have 12 minutes, David. Here's 10 things we want you to ask about in 12 minutes. And we come up with our own questions, and we need to give us at least 20 minutes. Come on. And then they reschedule 10 times on us, and then they appear once in a year. And then it's like, this isn't helping anybody. It's not good for the shows because these don't make for interesting interviews. And it's not good for the media ecosystem for the left as well. If the Democratic Party helped us build an interview circuit the way that they've helped the right, that interview circuit builds power. And then the interview circuit that has built power can then help them when the elections come around. Look at, Turning Point USA versus the nothing that we have on the left. So this is a real issue. And I don't want to say I'm optimistic, but what I will tell you is that in the few days since the election, we've reached out to a few more Democratic elected officials. And while we still haven't heard back from most of them, there are a couple higher profile folks who have expressed interest in being on. Now you might say, well, David, in November after the election, what's the point? That's exactly the point. You need to build the ecosystem. The right funds it. The right watches it. The elected officials appear. That's the critical thing. And so you might say, what difference does it make if AOC goes on your show on December 2nd of an election year? The issue is, let's build the platform so that then we build something for the midterms. We build something for the next election. Now, I will say one other thing. It does seem as though a lot of the kind of dead weight is abandoning some of our shows. And the latest, I told you earlier this week that the moment that it became clear Trump was going to win, thousands of people started unsubscribing from the YouTube channel. What's absolutely fascinating is that after I brought this up, even though thousands and thousands unsubscribed, thousands and thousands also subscribed. The net decline is about 2,500 out of 2.6 million. That's 0.1%. That is a sign, hopefully, that there are people disengaging, but really engaged people coming in. But here's the amazing thing. It's very transactional and easy to subscribe to a YouTube channel or to unsubscribe from it. Takes a second, doesn't take much thought. Since the election, 800 paid members signed up on my website. Now 350 canceled. It's a record level of cancellation, but it's also a record level of people signing up. So it's a fight, right? It's 2 in, 1 out, 2 in, 1 out. But there are signs that there is a new wave of activism forming here, and that maybe people are understanding the importance of building this ecosystem the way the right has done it. Also notable, my forthcoming book has rocketed in pre-order to the top book in the democracy category on Amazon and the second place book in the fascism category on Amazon. There are superficially concerning numbers, all of the people who do what I do losing some YouTube subscribers. But it might be a shedding of people who they popped in for the election, they're popping out, but now we can more strongly build the media ecosystem, or at least I hope. Let's go to one of the other reasons it will be very important to do so, which is Donald Trump's cabinet. When I'm working on the show or doing stuff on my computer, staying focused and getting in the zone is super important. It's not always easy. I would try Spotify or YouTube playlists. I'd end up actually more distracted than focused. And then someone told me about Brain FM's Focus Music, which is actually made by scientists working with musicians specifically to help you focus. I tried it and it worked really well for me, which is why I asked them to be a sponsor. With Brain FM, I just feel more productive and focused, easier to start on difficult work, easier to stay focused without getting distracted and do that really important deep work that I love to talk about. The team behind Brain FM actually won a National Science Foundation grant related to ADHD. And the app includes a special mode just for ADHD if you need it. They even have amazing sleep sounds that I've started using at night. You can try Brain FM totally free for an entire month just go to brain.fm/Pacman. The link is down below.